We've got to the point with so many cases involving Prince Harry in one way or another that no news is now the news, because we were expecting the US government to decide whether or not to release the visa records with respect to Prince Harry's immigration application to the United States. Of course, with all of the admissions that we've talked about in previous videos, vis-a-vis his drug use, and whether that was admitted on the form or not, and if so, whether he went into any detail or enough detail in the remainder of that form. Because it was Prince Harry himself that chose to make all of this public. And so let's just have a recap and a reminder of what it is that he said, both in interviews and in hard print in his book Spare. So borrowing a clip from ITV's Good Morning Britain show yesterday morning, let's have a refresh of what Prince Harry said.
There's a fair amount of drugs, marijuana, magic mushrooms, cocaine. I mean, that's going to surprise people.
But important to acknowledge. I wanted to distract myself from whatever I was thinking, and I would, resort to drugs as well.
We have Spare in front of us. I had been doing cocaine at someone's country house during a shooting weekend. I'd been offered a line, and I'd done a few more since. It wasn't much fun, and it didn't make me particularly happy, as it seemed to make everyone around me, but it did make me feel different.
And you will recall that Niall Gardner has spoken a lot about this issue as well, from the Heritage Foundation, making this request to the court for the release of these documents, because they want to see whether Prince Harry has been treated just like everybody else when making that application, or whether there's been any preferential treatment.
The reality is, of course, that US immigration laws are very strict on drug use. If an applicant has used drugs in the past, they have to declare that on a US immigration form. If they tick the box yes, then they have to fill out a more detailed application. In some cases, applicants are actually interviewed by US officials. In many cases, drug use results in the denial of a US visa.
Because I suspect that everybody involved knows that there's going to be a significant fallout in one of a number of different ways. Either, in one sense, if Harry has admitted prior drug use in that application and then gone into detail, and if so, what amount of detail? And then if so, why he's been allowed into the United States when very often they will turn people away and refuse those applications. On the other hand, he may not have indicated the truth, as it is now in his own publications, that he's had these prior use of drugs. And therefore, again, what consideration was given to that immigration application if he hadn't admitted those things on the form? Of course, many people seem to believe that there's just one rule for rich and famous and another rule for everybody else. But this is precisely the point of this request. If these documents show that everything was declared and there's a full trail of these considerations, then that would obviously satisfy everybody. But the competing argument here, of course, is that these documents are usually private, unless there is a significant public interest. Just in another video I've done this morning on a completely different note, was talking about education materials of a certain nature at a school, and whether there is a public interest in a parent seeing that information, or whether the commercial competing interests of the entity that produced it, in that case a charity, so I'm somewhat dubious about the commercial interests in that regard. Albeit it's a charity, charities still have to make money, but by the by, I think there's a debate about whether it's right to hold that back from parents, but that's another debate. I'll link that video in the description below. Go ahead and watch that one as well. But it's this ongoing debate as to the public interest for access to this information as against any other kind of interest. That's either a privacy matter, a commercial interest matter, or maybe even national security or something else. If it were any of those things, they could just say so. But as of now, by my watch, even though I'm in a different time zone, we are past the deadline. I've not seen it in the news so far, so maybe it's just that I haven't seen it in the news, but I certainly haven't seen that reported, and I suspect that I would. Either if they denied to hand over these documents, or if they've agreed and they are due to be delivered, in which case, again, I would have expected that to hit the news. So I'm waiting for it to hit the news. So at the moment, the news is no news, but no news is news as of today. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time.